Hey everyone, I wanted to make a quick video to just introduce myself to my online class. If you're watching this, it's because you're enrolled in the online summer 2024 class, AWD 1115 database driven web development. And so I just wanted to take a quick 5-10 minutes to introduce myself so you can get a feel for who I am, my background, those kinds of things before we get into the course. And so my name is Evan Gudmestad. I'm not a YouTuber, and so looking directly into the camera, into the webcam, still feels awkward to me. So I don't do that very often. A lot of times I will just look at my screen. But my name is Evan Gudmestad. I'm 39 years old, and I'm from Belleville, Illinois. Born and raised in Belleville, still live there with my wife and child. I got married a few years ago, going on 6 years, and my daughter is going on 4 years old. And my background in IT dates back to the early 2000s when I myself went to Ranken graduate, and got a job upon graduation, was working part-time, and that job went full-time upon graduation. And I was back then doing more IT work, less coding, in the mid 2000s at that point, early to mid 2000s. And my career kind of progressed into writing code for a couple of reasons. Number one, I was still in school at night, so I pursued that bachelor's degree at night since Ranken is accredited. I was going to Webster University at night for a computer science degree, and I was working during the day. So they saw that I was still in school. My employer saw that I was still in school, and they knew I had a background in code. One thing that's really interesting about me and my background is that I've been writing HTML on the World Wide Web, on the internet, since you could basically do it. I picked up HTML as a hobby as a kid. I thought it was super cool to teach myself some basic tags, images, headings, paragraphs, real basic tags, and kind of blog before I ever knew what blogging was. So I would talk about, my friend and my trip to Six Flags and what an awesome time it was riding the Ninja. Anyways, it turns out that I was doing this in the mid 90s, which was when the internet was blowing up and when HTML kind of became a thing in the early 90s. So I had a background in code, and my employer saw that I was still in school for code, mixing with my hobby from a kid, and put me on a project, and that was my introduction. So before I wrote code, I was more like a help desk and server admin and networking, and just kind of a jack of all trades, IT person, IT support. But then again, around that time, I started writing code and I built my first app. And that app, funny enough, was built on a technology that was a predecessor to what we're going to learn in this class. So I learned in the mid 2000s what was called web forms. And again, web forms was a technology before .NET Core. And I built an app with some coworkers that basically, instead of people filling out paper forms and faxing those paper forms, and then back in the day, we would receive the fax and then put them in a file cabinet. Of course, we made a website where you could fill out a web form and click save, and it saved it to a database. And so that was my kind of introduction to code. That was my career as a Ranken student, turned a Webster University student, turned help desk in the real world, turned developer in the real world. And then once I got a few years of experience under my belt, I maintained some contacts with some former instructors, and I told them that I was always very interested in potentially coming back to teach. And I asked them, what did I have to do? And they were very clear. I needed a bachelor's degree, one degree above the level that you teach. I needed 5 years of experience plus any certifications could help. So once I checked those boxes, made it very clear that I wanted to interview, a spot opened up, and the rest is history. I've been working then at Ranken Technical College since 2006 as a teacher. I've been a teacher for added up 18 years, and this is my career. I have no intent on leaving back out into the real world because frankly, the fulfillment that I can get out of this job, I don't think I could find in the real world. So I have a lot of fulfillment that I get out of teaching that I don't think I would get out of actually building software. It's just a different kind of thing. Although I do enjoy the side of problem solving that is software development. So I've been teaching since 2006, and I've been teaching coding probably a little bit after that. I started teaching this curriculum, call it 2008, 2009 time frame. So I've been doing it for a while. Additionally, besides being a teacher, I've also been promoted. So there's that. I've kind of become a department chair. So in addition to teaching, I also am a manager of our faculty at Ranken. And so hiring and firing and making sure we have enough instructors and faculty to cover our classes and making sure they're credentialed and doing a good job is also part of my day-to-day. So then the next thing, again, that's a little bit about me. Evan from Belleville, married, kid. That's my work experience background, transitioned into my Ranken background. So normally during in-person classes, I've been teaching in-person classes since 2006, and I've taught a handful of online courses now. And so all I'm doing is I'm going through like a checklist of, as I introduce myself in an in-person class, I'm just covering all those same topics that I would cover in an in-person class. So the next topic is why I chose this industry. And I kind of already answered that. It definitely was an interest of mine to say that I was dabbling and working in HTML and learning HTML in the mid-90s, so you add that up, we're going on 30 years of working in HTML, and that, is really unique in itself. Literally no one else, unless you were born the time I was born and you had the hobby of writing code, not many people, I should say, are in that boat where they've been writing it for so long because it was a hobby. So it definitely was a hobby as a kid. I continued to study it in high school, being C++, and in college, be it Java and databases, and then went on to work on it in the real world. So why this industry? I've always done it, and it was just a real natural progression to keep doing it. I'm really into technology, all the latest gadgets and that kind of stuff. I typically like to go get IT gadgets. Right now I'm playing with the latest Meta smart glasses, just as an example of that. I'm really enjoying those. So I've been into technology. It's been a hobby. And so then I go on. The next topic is a little bit on my teaching philosophy. And there's a couple of things in here. Number one, my teaching philosophy aligns really well with Ranken. You're going to see as you go through this class that I encourage my students to write a lot of code. Even during my lectures, my lectures are code heavy. And so I would encourage you to write the code that I write, not just watch me write code. Of course, I want you to write the code. But the point is Ranken's philosophy is a hands-on approach. That is me through and through. I believe you learn by doing. I can draw the example of, my daughter learned to walk when she was 1, and I didn't have to explain to her how to walk. It was literally just falling over and over and over and practicing how to walk. And I believe That that practice makes perfect, and that's how you master skills, is through practice. Now, that's not to say that I don't value book work. Of course, the theory is important, but practice makes perfect, and that's a large core of what I believe. I also believe in a college being a safe space for failure, which is kind of weird to hear. But what I mean by that is, I feel like so often adults are afraid of failure. And, if you know anything about how people grow and how people learn, it's only with failure that people gain tremendous experience. So I believe that failure is okay. So when it comes to my teaching philosophy, I stole this from Mark Rober, famous YouTuber. I believe in the Super Mario effect. And if you Google Mark Rober Super Mario effect, it's an amazing TED Talks where it's okay to fail. And so one thing I will say that's a little bit different about me is I do basically I have a very minor, if you will, penalty for failing. You can repeat coursework is what I'm getting at, because if you don't get it the first time through, that's okay. It shouldn't end your grade or give you an F or a C just because you don't pass it the first time. If you're willing to get back on the horse and try again, then we can learn from those mistakes. So major teaching philosophies: number one, practice makes perfect. And believe me, we are going to practice a lot. Number two is failure is okay. I think you'll see that in me, that I am not afraid of trying things I haven't tried before. I'm not afraid of failure. But my main thing is to find the solution. I don't like having unsolved problems, right? So it's okay to fail as long as you're on your way to a solution. Next up is personal hobbies. So again, don't get too much into myself here in this course, but now is the time for this. So personal interests, grew up kind of playing sports, soccer, basketball, around whatever age, got into video games, didn't have video games in the house. We're talking Nintendo and Sega, old school stuff, and that was expensive. I didn't have it in the house. So it wasn't really until about high school where my video game, call it addiction, overtook my athletic addiction. And so instead of playing sports all the time, I would play video games quite a bit. So I really got into like EverQuest. Later on, I got into like EverQuest 2, and then I got into League of Legends for quite a while. Although it was really trailing and fading my gaming around League of Legends. So yeah, really into athletics, really into video games when I was younger. The video game stuff kind of stopped around the time I met my wife, and quite honestly, I'm very happy with that. I'm happier with my wife than I was before. And so, yeah, video games. Today, my outside of work hobby is running. And so I've been running for a long time. Since 2007 was my first half marathon. In 2015, I got into my first marathon, full distance marathon in 2015. And I still run 6 days a week. Right now, I'm running about 50 miles a week, so I'm a recreational runner. I'm certainly not amateur level ability, but I run probably more than most people. So then, yeah, right now I'm running a lot of miles every week. It's my passion. It's what I enjoy. And my big goal there is to qualify for the Boston Marathon. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing in the running world. if you know anything about the Boston Marathon, you have to be a really good runner to run the Boston Marathon. You just can't sign up. You have to qualify, and you have to be fast to qualify. So, addition to running, I love chess. Kind of a fun, quick. I play chess every day, multiple games a day. I've been playing since COVID, so call it 4 years. And I really love it. I'm about, depending on the speed of the game, call it I'm a 1200, 1300 ranked player. So that's intermediate. It's kind of on the beginner or lower end of intermediate, I would say. And talk about failure. I'm very proud of this, that a friend of mine, a friend of a friend kind of thing, and we play games every day, and I've been playing. He's a 1800 rated player, so he's much better than I am, and I am currently 0-53 against him. And so one of these days I'll get him, but I'm really enjoying the failure that is that, and the madness that is constant failure. If there's anything about running and chess as hobbies, they will teach you how to fail, and I fail quite often with that. Other than that, there's a lot more to me, but I like to read. Got a couple books I'm going through right now. For whatever, The Anxious Generation is an interesting book that is brand new, about Gen Z and kind of the challenges that they have with mental illness. Really good, just released. And I'm reading another book currently. So here's the other book that I'm reading. It's called Sapiens, and it's, as it says, a brief history of humankind. So these are some books that I'm reading outside of work. So between work, those hobbies, a little bit of reading, I guess I would add, I'm a big finance geek as well, so moving on. I like talking about finance, but I will spare you for now. So that's kind of the end of this introduction of who I am. I just wanted to take a minute, introduce myself, and by a minute, I mean 17 minutes. I hope to get to know everyone. And so one of the challenges is me as an online instructor, and when I've taught a handful of online classes, is connecting with the students and building some sort of repertoire with the students so that they can ask questions and feel comfortable asking questions and getting help. I will expand on this, but you will have lots of opportunity to work with me one-on-one in this class. We just have to get some things set up for that. So if you're still here, thanks for letting me introduce myself. Feel free to, tell me a little bit about yourself. You're going to notice I don't edit these videos. They're raw. They're just one takes. Shoot me a message when you join the Discord channel. Shoot me a message and tell me a few things. Tell me your name. Tell me your age if you like. Tell me where you're from. Tell me why you chose this industry. Tell me, what are your goals? What are your goals around Ranken? What are you trying to achieve? My goals are trying to assist as many people as I can into this industry. I definitely have no incentive to do anything other than help people along the way. So tell me your goals. Give me any personal hobbies that you might have. Oh, the last one before I cut this off. Fun fact or icebreaker. The one that I always use here is that I cut my own hair. I really don't care if I do a good job or a bad job. My wife and we've been doing it since before COVID. I figure I save $30 every time I cut my own hair. You do it once a month. You save $300-400 a year. You do it for 5 years. You save a lot of money. So yeah, I'm a finance geek. I cut my own hair, so that's different. Um, oh, again, finance geek. I paid off my house when I was 29 years old that I still live in. So that's a huge accomplishment. It was kind of a fun fact because not many people pay off their house in 2024. So I paid off my house, and I've been living in that house for 10 years. So that's fun. I enjoy that. Yeah, wife and kid are amazing. Live a good life. So, again, this course is about you and helping you out learn. So I'll cut it off here. Please introduce yourself. And what's coming next is a course introduction. This was the instructor introduction.